So guys, we are gonna check out some of the back roads behind the scenes, away from the middle of Pahrump. This is where people that live in Pahrump actually live. We're passing 4th Street right now, and we're on, well, it's kind of hard to see what road we're on, but when I see a sign clearly, it looked like Bowling Road, but I'm not quite sure. Let me look at that sign. Bowling Road, B-O-L-L-I-N-G, Bowling Road. We're coming up on 2nd Street. Here's 1st Street, and we're coming up on Wilson Road. And we're going to make a left up here, because the right, I'll go back to 160, and you've already seen all that. Let's find something a little bit more interesting than 160. We're headed due west right now, and that means those mountains off in the distance are in California. Every once in a while, as you go through here, you'll see a single family home here and there, maybe a business. One thing I noticed about Pahrump, the single-family homes outside of town, is a lot of fences. And the fences generally seem to encompass pretty much the entire property much of the time. I don't know if it's the philosophy, the old philosophy, good fences make good neighbors, or what. Well, as we go here, maybe we can find some more examples of that. We're on a pretty bumpy road, so this footage may not be all that wonderful, but we'll see. This looks a little smoother up here. And oddly enough, as I talk about all these houses with fences, we're going by a bunch of houses that have no fences. So maybe I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but I'll bring it back up as we drive through here if I see a section that has houses with big fence, a lot of big fences. Now, Desert Greens is a over 55 community on the right here that I just heard some good things about. I think you can live in an RV there. There's some homes you can buy in there. I don't know much about it. I just heard about Desert Greens community. Maybe I'll look that up and get some information on that. But this is the hospital right here to the right. I had noticed a helicopter taking off from there just a few minutes ago. It probably didn't show up on the screen. It's called Desert View Hospital, DVH, here in Pahrump. And we're continuing our trip due west. Seeing what stuff looks like on either side of the road. I'm real curious to see how stable this footage is coming out, because the camera is moving around quite a bit. Even though it's not that rough a road, it's uneven enough so I see a lot of movement in the camera. So we'll see if maybe the iPhone or the GoPro might be a better candidate for car filming. Since I got this Osmo DJI Pocket 3 camera, my GoPro Hero 10 has been collecting dust. You know, as I put this through its paces, I wonder if one thing about the GoPro, it's weather resistant, so if there's any kind of chance of rain, anything like that, I will not take the GoPro out, because there's nothing about, I won't take the Osmo Pocket 3 out because there's no part of this that is sealed to any kind of weather. So any kind of moisture can ruin this camera, but the GoPro is sealed. You can even do stuff underwater with the GoPro. So here's a couple of fences on the left and on the right here, where the entire property, not just the backyard, but the entire property, front and backyard with a gate. This is very common. So if anyone is a Pahrump person that understands the reasons why so many of these properties are fully fenced, I'd appreciate it. I think it's got to be more than people have dogs, because often, you know, what I'm used to is you fence in your backyard for your dog. This is front, side, everything completely enclosed. And here we are, South Leslie Street, and that's significant to me because my mail service is on, mail messages and more is on Leslie Street. Come to a full stop here. Now, as I come across areas that have groves of trees, that's telling me there's got to be a water source in the neighborhood. There's a lot of trees out here as I look left and right. Lots of groves of big trees, which means they've got to be getting water from someplace. So this could explain part of the original allure of the Pahrump Valley, is the aquifer and the moisture here in the desert. The high desert, they call it. They also called it the Kingdom of Nye. NYE is Nye County, and the Kingdom of Nye was coined by the AM radio host Art Bell. If you've ever heard of Art Bell. Art Bell, for years, had an AM radio talk show broadcast on aliens and the occult and conspiracy theories and just all sorts of fascinating things, and he had all sorts of fascinating guests on in the middle of the night from coast to coast. And he had a very unique voice, and I spent a lot of time in my life listening to Art Bell, not knowing I would eventually live in the Kingdom of Nye. This is where he lived, in Pahrump, and his studio was in his home, which we're not near to it now. It's kind of on the Art Bell has since passed away, and his home is still there. And it's on the outskirts of Pahrump. Along with, pretty close to that, are the other thing that Pahrump is famous for are legal brothels. Yes, prostitution is legal in Pahrump in Nye County in Nevada, and there are at least 2 brothels in Pahrump and the Chicken Ranch, and I believe it's called Sherry's Ranch, and they're very much on the outskirts of town and not far from where Art Bell's house is. Prostitution is not legal in Las Vegas, and the reason for that is the state law says prostitution may be declared legal by vote in each county, and the only requirement is the county be less than, now don't quote me on this, it's close, it's less than 200,000 in population. There's a deputy sheriff in front of me turning around. I hope he's not turning around for me. Oh, there's another deputy up here. So the population is, Clark County is where Nevada is, and it's too populous to even for them even decide. Even if they wanted it to be legal, it cannot be. But the people in Nye County had a population that was low enough, and they decided, yes, we welcome regulated, legalized prostitution here. And I'm seeing quite a few of these homesteads with the fences. There are probably plenty of other communities that I've been through that have fences like this. This is the first time I've really noticed. There's all kinds of different type of fences, but the most common I see is just your old, standard high chain link fence with a rolling gate to get your car in and out. And up here on the left is mail messages and more. They also have storage facilities there. And one of my favorite YouTube channels is Wonder Hussy Adventures. It's a woman that explores the desert quite a bit, and I've run into her a few times. At mail messages and more, and I thought it was her just pulling out now because she drives a white SUV, but that's a Toyota, I believe. I don't believe she drives a Toyota, but I've run into her a couple times there, and once I asked her to do a selfie with me, which I absolutely cherish. But she lives in the desert, about 30 miles from here, and she comes into town for errands and has her mailbox there at Mail Messages and More. And I think 3 times now I've run into her there. I really admire her authenticity in her videos. She is unabashedly herself, and I really admire that, and I try to emulate that. And the other thing I emulate is she said something that really stuck with me. She said, you might notice I don't ask you to click like and subscribe. Figure you're all adults. If you want to subscribe, you very surely know how to do it on your own. You don't need to be asked or told. And if you like something, you probably know what the like button is. So I don't do that. So I heard that from her, and I stopped doing that. If you look at earlier videos, I would have another stop sign here, 4-way stop. I would have please like and subscribe to my channel, little banner at the end and me saying it. I stopped that, and it felt good. You know, the last thing many people want watching YouTube is feeling like somebody's trying to sell you something. It's bad enough you gotta suffer through ads, and I know you suffered through some ads watching this, but just understand that I don't pick the ads. YouTube does, and I suffer through the same ads when I watch my YouTube videos, the things that I like, and as soon as I can hit that skip, I click down there and skip. I encourage you to do the same. Unless every once in a while I'll see an ad, I'm like, this looks interesting, and I'll watch it, but that's pretty few and far between. I'm going to run pretty much the length of Leslie Street here. We're going to go pretty far out and we're going to go by the first RV resort that I stayed in. This was a little over 2 years ago, right after I retired in December of 2021. I left Virginia, packed up all my stuff, and I headed west. And my destination was to come here and figure out how to establish my residency in Pahrump, Nevada. And I did my research online in RV parks, and this looked like the fanciest, nicest looking one I could find. It's called Nevada Treasure RV Resort. And as we go by there, I'll drive through there, not through the whole thing, but a little of it to show you how nice it is. And I would definitely recommend it for a temporary stay. And it's about 6 or 7 miles outside of town, so it's pretty quiet compared to the RV parks in town. And the place that I stay is right in the middle of town, and you're hearing sirens and stuff all the time. It's busy, but out here it's nice and peaceful and quiet. They didn't have any kind of membership thing that you could buy into, and I think I had a very small spot, and I think it was around $550 a month plus electric, and the electric wasn't very expensive. In the winter, maybe $50, so maybe it's about $600 total it was costing me to stay here. And they have a very nice 2-level pool. They have a bowling alley that was never working. I don't know whether they've gotten it fixed or not, but I never got to use the bowling alley. But there was an on-site restaurant and a little gift shop and convenience store, and it was in the desert. You know, it was surrounded by pretty much desert, and it was quite lovely. The bigger sites are, I had a little, even on my little site, I had a little gazebo on there, and I had a very nice view. It was quite nice. And it's very couples oriented, though. I didn't feel welcomed with open arms by most of the other guests when they would find that I was a single man. Much less warm and welcoming than Preferred RV Resort. My first 24 hours in the Preferred RV Resort, after 24 hours, like, how can I find a way to stay here forever? I love it here. You know, it's because of the people. The amenities in many ways are greater than Nevada Treasure, but Nevada Treasure is all like asphalt and concrete and stuff, and Preferred RV Resort is gravel. That's probably the biggest difference. And there's nothing about the gravel that bothers me whatsoever. And I don't know if you can see off on if you look on the horizon line to the right, you can see the snow-capped Mount Charleston, which is a very nice view I had from my spot at Nevada Treasure, because we're getting back to Route 160 about 5 or 6 miles outside of town, and right at 160 is where we're going to find Nevada Treasure. In this stretch here on either side is where I would routinely see wild donkeys, and I don't see any. I haven't seen any since I've been back here. I've been back for a month. I haven't seen any, but I haven't been much outside of town. They don't really come into town. But the wild horses, they actually do come into town, believe it or not. But the mules, donkeys, they don't tend to, I've never seen any in town. I've seen plenty of horses in town. Tomorrow. It's going to be coming up here pretty quick on the right. We're getting to a little bit more density of single-family homes, a little bit newer than the other neighborhood they went through. You know, there's a few ways to go when you're buying property, want to put up a little homestead or live in your RV. The least expensive land will be in the desert and will not have any utilities. No electric, no water. And this is Nevada Treasure up here. So it'll be inexpensive. The more utilities you have access to, the more expensive the land will be. I think you can pretty much put a septic system if you're willing to pay the money for it anywhere. However, digging a well, there's a thing called water rights, and you have to purchase water rights, and I don't know how much that is, but I'm gonna guess it's not terribly cheap. And then you can drill a well. And then electricity, if the power company's not out there, guess what? You're off grid. You need to use batteries and solar panels. All right. Well, but I'm just gonna drive through real quick here, and I'm gonna show you where my old little spot was that I love so much. This is to the right there is the clubhouse, office, bowling alley, restaurant, and also the pool. There's a pool and hot tub, 2 levels of pool. Very fancy. Very nice. I can see my spot was the next row over, the first one on the end here, and I hope you'll be able to see it as I make the turn here. I'm gonna make the turn wide so you can see my old spot. I'm just gonna back up and go back the other way. But as I back up here, this little small fifth wheel is that right there where it says comfort. That was my little spot where 2 motorcycles are. See the little tiki hut, and I had that that view. Just one neighbor on the right here, and the view over the wall shows the desert and beautiful view of Mount Charleston. So I really, really liked it there. And I'll just go through one more row, kind of showing you what a lot of these places look like. They're the spot I was in that I showed you is about the smallest one here, and they're all different sizes, and there's some really jumbo ones that are pretty expensive. But you see a lot of them have those tiki huts. I had a little tiki hut on mine. Some of them have built-in grills. I see there's one on the left there. I don't know if you can see it. It's an open spot. It's got a big built-in grill and a little table and chairs with a little hut over the top. So this was where I lived for the first 30 days I was here in Pahrump a couple of years ago. And the other thing I didn't like about it is, quiet, the real serious quiet out here away from everything is really nice, but it's not really a priority for me. A little bit of ambient noise in the background, like the the hourly sirens that go by in Pahrump, they don't go right by me, so it's off in the distance, and I consider it ambient noise, and it doesn't bother me. I would rather have the convenience of being close to everything that I need in terms of stores and restaurants than to be way out here. And we'll see. I'll stay with you as we drive back into town from here. It's going to take about almost 10 minutes, really. Well, maybe not 10 minutes, maybe half that, but and here I am complaining about a 5-minute drive into town, and I bet there are people listening to this going, what the hell kind of spoiled guy is that? It's just, I like conveniences. So an interesting thing happened. I mentioned I made reservations in New Mexico, in New Mexico state parks. And I screwed up one of the reservations that everything needed to move forward one day, and you can't do that online. And so I called them and I said, I need to move it one day. And she said, well, just making sure you realize this is a handicap campsite. And I go, say what? It's a what? It's a handicap site. And I just need to notify you that you must have a handicap placard on your vehicle or you'll be asked to leave the site. I said, I'm not handicapped. She said, well, then we have a problem. I said, well, can you move me to a different site? And it's like, yeah, but there's no electricity. And she transferred me to someone else. And it turns out I really, there wasn't a choice about it. I could not stay there. You need to take the risk that the camp host isn't going to kick you out or the rangers are not going to kick you out. But you also run the risk of taking a site that someone with a handicap needs. It's like parking in a handicap spot. I don't want to do that. But, I went back to the Reserve America website, and the only indication that you have is in the description. It says ADA accessible with a Y next to it. That's all it says. And the fact that that a site is accessible did not mean to me it was restricted, but it is. And when I checked out, I didn't see anything that said make sure. But anyway, lesson learned. Now I know that. I looked for that flag now. So I canceled that reservation and got the site right next to it, but wasn't able to get electricity. And then I realized, this is June. This is at 6,000 feet. I don't need electricity. I don't need air conditioning. So I saved, $50 or something by canceling that reservation, because the new reservation, all it cost me with my annual camping pass was $12 to the reservation fee. So it cost me, I had to forfeit the $12 to the original reservation. Then they gave me back like $56 in what I paid for the electric site. And then I paid another $12 to reserve the non-electric site. So net, I'm getting money back. So I'm happy. It's right next door to it, to the other one. So not a big deal. It's most of the camping sites I'm going to have in the summer are not going to have electric, which is fine because it just does not get warm enough for me to need air conditioning. If I don't need air conditioning, I've got plenty of solar power to run everything else I need to run. And if there's an exceptionally hot day, I have a little Honda generator. I can turn on the AC. And actually, I haven't tested how long I could run it, but I bet I could run the AC for at least 2 or 3 hours on my batteries if I really needed to without the generator. So anyway, that's what happened there. And so this story got us, hey, you see right here, I don't even notice that. If you make a right-hand turn on Bell Vista Road up here, and you keep going for about 55 minutes down there, you will end up in Death Valley. That's how close it is. And we're basically back in Pahrump. The sign of that is the existence of the dollar store here on the right. And off in the distance, I think I see the Home Depot sign, so we're getting pretty close. And what the heck? I'm gonna take you through the 160 again, even though you've seen it 50 times in my videos. And for those of you that haven't seen it, you get the opportunity to see what the heart of Pahrump looks like. I spoke too soon about the Home Depot sign. It's a little further down here. And we're coming up on intersection East Mesquite Avenue. And if you're looking for free BLM land, this 14-day land, if you make a left here, going south, I believe, at the end of the road there, you'll see plenty of nice BLM land that you can camp on for free. Outside of town, quiet. And coming up here when we get into town is the first time I ever saw the wild horses was up here right in town. They were on either side of the street. I was pretty fascinated by that. There's makeshift signs around. I haven't seen one to point out, but they're saying, please be careful. Watch out for wild burros, because there's so many accidents where they're killed and vehicles destroyed because they're huge. But you have to be vigilant about looking to either side of the road to see if one of these things is about to cross. You don't hear much about horses getting hit, but the burros you hear about. So we're coming up on the Pahrump city limit sign, elevation 2,695 feet. It's a little higher elevation than Las Vegas. People often ask, is it cooler here than Las Vegas? The answer is yes. I'd be safe in saying an average of 5 to 7 degrees cooler than Las Vegas usually. But by the time July comes around, guess what, guys? That's not going to really matter. 5 or 6, 7 degrees when it's 100, 110 doesn't really matter. So here we are in town, and this is kind of the area where I saw the horses near the Home Depot, believe it or not. But here's the Home Depot on the left. And I'll have to take you through the Home Depot so you can see what the Home Depot in Pahrump is like. I haven't gone there yet. And because the only thing I need is a couple of screws, long screws. It's kind of funny to go to a big place like that and buy, may I have 2 screws, please? This is Basin Avenue. If I make a left here, the sheriff's department is down there, and probably more importantly down there is the DMV, where you can get your driver's license, register your vehicle, get a VIN inspection. It's all there. Little ways down the left-hand turn here at this intersection on Basin Avenue. And up here on the right is a big shopping strip, which includes all manner of things, including Albertsons, CVS, Walmart. There's a UPS store. There's a Domino's Pizza, a T-Mobile store, a Verizon store, a haircut place, a liquor store. Did I say UPS? A Japanese restaurant. There's a Denny's. A thing called teriyaki something. What is it called? It's up here. Teriyaki Madness. And there's a Panda Express if you like those. And a Great Clips if you, unlike me, if you have hair. And then there's a Sonic. And then beyond that, there's an O'Reilly Auto Parts. And next to that is the Pahrump Starbucks. And there's a Carl's Jr. next to the Starbucks. There's a Wells Fargo, and next to the Wells Fargo, tucked in there without a big sign, is the newest addition, Chipotle. And next to Chipotle is China Wok, which is a pretty good Chinese restaurant and buffet. I like it. Taco Bell on your left, along with Smith's Grocery, which I just did a video on. Jack in the Box on the right, and next to Jack in the Box is Tire Works. My place, my mechanic. I love Tire Works. Great mechanics. They do well by you. There's an Arby's and McDonald's. Then we have the world famous Pahrump Nugget Hotel and Gambling Hall. And next to that is the Gold Town Casino. And across the street there is a Walgreens. And if you go to Walgreens, they are closed every single day. The pharmacy part between 1:30 and 2. So don't go to get your medicine between 1:30 and 2. And I'm going to make a left and go right between these two big casinos, because that's where home is. That is where Preferred RV Resort is, where I live, where I'm a part owner. Are you ready for this? I am an owner of this luxury RV resort. My fractional ownership officially, and I have the contract and the deed to prove it, is ready for the fraction. You might want to write this down. 1/2570th. That is the fractional ownership I have in Preferred RV Resort. You too could do that. The retail price of one of these fractional ownerships is about $4,995, but these ownerships are transferable. You can find them on the secondary market. The lowest one that I've heard of in the past 2 years, there's one out there for $1,100. I paid $2,500 or $2,600 for mine. And here we are, very secured place. This little hut here is manned 24/7. And they're looking on my dash to see make sure I belong here, and they'll raise that gate. After hours, the big gate is closed, and you need to use your fob to get in. And I am right down here in the first row on the left, which I love, with a capital L. It's close to the front, and look at these shade trees that are around my rig. It plays a little bit of havoc, I'll admit, with my Starlink, but it's worth it, because I love me shade. So check this out. I'm gonna stop and check it out. I have arrived back at my spot, and it is very warm out here. It's probably about 90 degrees, but check it out in front of my little place here. It is shady. It's shady and pleasant. And I even have a little fan there with a battery on it. If I want to sit here outside, I'll be very comfortable. And let's see. Pardon me. Let's see if there is a friendly dog inside this RV. There is a friendly dog inside this RV. It's Dottie girl. Hi, Dottie. Say hello to everybody, Dottie. Are you excited that I'm back? Are you excited? Do you want to come outside? Come on. Come on, and we'll hook you up. Make sure. The only time I think Dottie would bolt and run is under two circumstances. One, a cat would run by, or a rabbit, and Dottie would be gone, wouldn't you, Dottie? Well, thanks for hanging out with me on my drive, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the not so common part of Pahrump. Take care. See you on the next video.